Columbo, I'm gonna throw you out of here on your ear.
I wouldn't do that, sir. I mean, you'll miss the best part. You see, I'm not finished.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm excited. And I'm also Jade.
You set me up for that, and I appreciate that. This is Shall We Compare Thee, a remake and sequel podcast, and we are continuing our MVP series. That's Murderers, Villains, and Private Eyes, with an episode that has been long coming.
Oh,
I'm going to tell you that right now. We're going to talk about one of the great mystery solvers of our generation and yours, the great Lieutenant Colombo.
And the crowd goes wild.
If the crowd isn't going wild, I don't care.
So, okay, before we get into it, reminder, the full video of this podcast and many more delicious, delectable, amazing videos can be found on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that channel when you go there. Oh, sorry, did I not say the full video is on our Patreon? A little small video is on the YouTube channel, a shortened, condensed, bite-sized version. But who wants that? You want the whole schmagol. You want the full enchilada when it comes to Colombo. That's what I always say. So go to Patreon, patreon.com/perfectly marvelous podcast. Sign up to be one of our most marvelous members. Show me your marvelous member. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Well, if you do, you might get a free month of Patreonage. No, Jade.
Wait, really?
No. We're silly today. If you are listening to this podcast on our Only Murders in the Building podcast feed, and you would like to hear more of Paul and I's shenanigans, then just head on over to our Shall We Compare Thee podcast feed. All the links to all the things will be in the description of however you're consuming this content. And yes, don't forget to subscribe there because we've got a ton of other film reviews. We compare classics to remakes. It's a hoot of a time. It's pretty okay. So you should check it out. And now, without further ado, let's get into it.
This really is our origin story. This
okay,
is
so gather round, children, because we're going to tell you how mommy and daddy met.
This is as good of a podcast meet cute as you will ever hear.
Yes.
Jade was co-hosting a podcast about Poker Face. I was a listener and fan of the podcast, and I decided to call in and leave some connections of those episodes that would connect to a Columbo episode.
Through Poker Face, I discovered fucking Columbo is amazing. And because Poker Face is probably the closest thing we've got to a Columbo remake, and I'm totally okay with it. Natasha Lyonne carries on the flame pretty damn well.
She's got to be like a Columbo great niece. There's lineage there. If they brought that up in the show at some point, that like, oh yeah, my great uncle used to be an LAPD, I would be like, okay,
not surprised.
All right,
yeah.
I'll take that. I'll take
plausible.
that. Yeah, very plausible. If I just have nothing else to put on, I will put on a Columbo. It is by far my favorite television show of all time. And I've watched every episode. I can't even tell you how many times.
Columbo, watching him just get totally overlooked, and just no one thinks that he's got any brains. No one thinks that he's got any ability to solve a crime. And he just surprises everyone, and he uses that to his advantage. And he plays on the fact that you're going to underestimate me. You're, almost like kind of Jessica Fletcher. She's an older woman. And so she uses that to her advantage, where like, oh, silly old me, I'm just bumbling around and old ladies, And I just love that when I think that's what makes a great detective, like Poirot, those little quirks about them that make everyone else just overlook them in life, when they really like lean into their defects, I guess, and then it becomes a strength. It's just so endearing. I love watching Peter Falk win over these assholes who are just like, oh, aren't I awesome? Look at me go. I'm rich. I'm handsome. And there's little Columbo. It's just so great.
There's nothing more delicious in every episode when the murder suspect, who has been underestimating Columbo, has that moment of like, oh, he's smart. God
Yeah.
damn it, he's smart.
Yep.
Oh, I thought he was a bumbling, shuffling weirdo, little with his troll-like voice and his bushy hair and his
Yeah.
unshaven
His
cigar and
cigars,
everything.
hunched over,
But-
like literally like at a 90-degree angle to the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm always
but
like, Peter Falk, fucking stand up, man. It's killing me. Like, you focus on it. Oh my God.
It's almost like if Groucho Marx was
Yeah.
solving mysteries,
Yeah.
you know. But there's that moment in every episode where they're like, oh, damn it. I forgot he's smart.
Damn it. Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about
didn't
the fact
factor
that he
that
knew
into
what
my
he was
plan.
doing. Exactly.
We are
Mhm.
comparing but we're going to come just as we do here on Shall We Compare Thee. We're true to form. We're sticking to brand, and we're comparing my favorite two Colombo murderers, the two greatest villains who ever villed, and that is Jack Cassidy and Robert Culp.
Oh.
And we're going to talk about all the episodes that they've been in, and we're going to really focus on our favorites. I thought that I knew before rewatching these episodes for this podcast. I thought I knew who my favorite murderer was, what my favorite episodes for each of them were. And then I started to rewatch all these episodes with the critical eye, with my magnifying glass eye. And I realized, oh shit, my opinions have changed since I was just passively watching them for fun. And I'm shocked.
That's interesting.
I know.
Because mine have kind of two.
Ooh,
like
I was wondering. Okay.
I had front runner winner of between the two of them.
Yeah.
And then I was rewatching some of them this morning. By the way, if you on a Sunday morning watch some Columbo, you don't have to go to church. That's it. You're fine.
Right on. Yeah.
You're fine.
I will second that. Can we agree at least on Death Lends a Hand being the weakest?
Just so that we're clear out here in podcast land, the worst day Columboing
right.
is better than the best day's other things. So,
yeah. Like there are no stinker episodes with these two guys in them. No.
We're really going by degrees here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and agree with you, even though I think Death Lends a Hand for me is a better episode than Murder by the Book, but just by degrees.
Let's get into it then. Let's get into it because I'm very excited to hear this. Because for me, Death Lends a Hand would be the weakest of all the episodes. Of all these six amazing episodes, Death Lends a Hand would be for me the weakest. And Murder by the Book is just a little bit better. Now, interesting fun fact: Death Lends a Hand was supposed to be the pilot episode, and then at the last minute they switched it to Murder by the Book because I guess whoever decides these things thought that it was a stronger story.
You know, and here's the thing that Columbo does so well, the series of Columbo does so well. It takes these formerly good guys and turns them into villains. Robert Culp was known for being a good guy. He was on I Spy for so many years. He was co-starring with Bill Cosby, winning Emmys, and they were saving the world. And now he's this bad guy. Jack Cassidy was usually played a good guy. They bring these guys in to be sinister, and they somehow know how to be. I mean, Robert Culp just knows how to play anger.
I mean, like
so
none
good.
Other. And enjoy things like, can we just appreciate the fucking door kick? The door kick by Stretch himself, by Mr. Robert Culp kicking that door. I mean, it's beautiful. I think that if I was straight, I think that if I had a type of man, it might be Robert Culp. I was like, oh, Robert Culp, kick that door.
Oh,
he's
wow.
just so,
right.
He's got this charisma to him that is very sexy, Robert Culp.
He plays this investigator Brimmer, doesn't have a first name either. He kills the wife of Ray Milland accidentally, but in a fit of rage.
One of the outstanding times when a murderer kills by accident and starts to kind of feel remorse. That does not happen very often.
He kills her, and then it focuses in on his glasses.
Iconic.
And you see him do everything that he needs to do to cover up his crime. You see him wrap up the body, you see him dig it to the car, but it's all shown within his glasses. And it is for television that was made in 1971. It's way ahead of its time. So that episode's number 2. Murder by the Book's number 1. This is our first of 3 Jack Cassidys. What do you think about this episode?
Murder by the Book is the first one, that I watched as an adult when I was going through Poker Face. And I remember thinking like, okay, it was okay. I'm going to keep going, but it's just okay. On rewatch, I actually quite liked it quite a bit. And the reason for that is the victim here, Miss Lily Lysenko. played by Barbara Colby.
Barbara
I
Colby.
fucking love her. She is giving me Shelley Duvall energy, and I fucking love it. There was a tragic thing that happened, though, at 4 months after filming this episode. She was murdered. It was a random act of violence. There's no rhyme or reason to it. And it's a cold case. It still remains a mystery to this day. What happened? Why is this not a Lifetime movie? Probably it is. But
that's a very
pour
interesting
one out
thing
for Barbara Colby because she was fabulous.
Great in this episode. She had just become, I think, a series regular on Phyllis when she was murdered. But this was like very, very early in her career. For those of you who don't know the plot of this one, you got Ken Franklin and his writing partner, played by Martin Milner. They have this character named Mrs. Melville that they've been writing for years. But it turns out Jack Cassidy doesn't do much of the writing. He does like the interviews and the seducing of women, but he doesn't do much of the writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but Martin Milner now wants to go do real crime stories. So they have a big fight, but then he comes over and makes up for it by pointing a gun at him. It's weird.
Jack Cassidy, aka the Champagne Killer. When that man comes at you with some champagne, run! Do not walk in the opposite direction because only bad things come from here.
And, I mean, every one of these, he's got these leather, and it's like, oh God, if he's got leather gloves on, he's about
and
to
a bottle of champagne.
Yeah. Or, even in the San Diego cabin, when he's calling his wife to tell him she's still at the office, he puts on the gloves. The couch, I believe, is covered in plastic.
Covered in plastic. I mean, red flags. Red flags.
I think maybe the 1971 guy doesn't think that's red flags, but the 2023 person walks into that room and is like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna walk
Martin
back
Milner,
to LA.
I'm gonna walk back to LA. I'm gonna hitchhike. I'm gonna take my chances. Yeah. Martin Milner is so perfect for this role, though. Just completely oblivious guy. He's just his face is perfection. I know. When Jack Cassidy is this is absurdly overly confident, absurdly overly chatty. So helpful, Ken. How helpful are you solving this murder mystery? He is downright giddy with himself or outsmart. He's like dictating to Colombo. Don't you get it? Don't you see, man, how the murder was committed? He's like dictating a book. It's his best work. It's his only good idea, So he's giving all of these helpful tips and hints. And what I think is the greatest part is that he thinks he's going to throw off this stupid guy, the stupid cop, by just bogging him down and loading him up with these books. I'll really keep him busy. Do some reading. Because my books, Mrs. Melville, she's just so entertaining to read that surely your attention will be diverted. So confident in this. You told me your favorite episodes, or no, you told me your favorite Robert Culp episode. Has it changed?
Right. No, my favorite Robert Culp is still the football one.
The Most Crucial Game.
Right. But I don't think it's better than Double Exposure. I just think I think I just enjoy it more because I love the ending, and there are when it's really good, it's better than anything in Double Exposure. But the plot of Most Crucial Game is the most convoluted, like crazy plot of any mystery. But the moments, Robert Culp plays this general manager of a football team. He decides to kill Dean Stockwell, who plays like this kind of hippie, druggy, like, doesn't care about the business sort of thing, by driving dressing up as a ding-a-ling ice cream vendor.
Oh yes.
Sneaking out of his box.
Ding-a-ling, baby.
Sneaking out of his box at the stadium while the game's going on, stopping midway with a transistor radio to call him to make sure that he's getting ready. He's in the pool because he's got to get sobered up for this flight to Montreal.
Get in that pool.
And then
ridiculous.
Gets to the place, and as Dean Stockwell's getting out of the pool, clocks him with a block of ice.
Okay. And I think that The Most Crucial Game has my favorite death in any Colombo. I think that's a really block good one. Hitchcock is so proud of the gleaming ice cube must gleam.
It was the scissor.
The way it was the gleaming scissors.
Oh, I'm so glad you're back, Alf. I'm so glad to see you again.
Good evening. My name's Alfred Hitchcock.
By the way, if you're not watching the videos and you're not seeing
what's wrong with you?
Jade's Alfred Hitchcock face, you're not living your life right.
No, okay. So that death though, that with the ice cube, the sun shines through the ice cube. And then I just found it when he threw that ice cube in the pool, I was like, oh, that's so good. Oh, the murder weapon melts. The brilliance. It was good. And the way also, this is a pre-Jaws moment here. Underwater swimming shots, pre-Jaws, very cool. I just loved so much of the cinematography in this episode.
So, but this has two of my favorite moments ever. Okay. Moment one, Robert Culp, ding-a-ling truck.
Ding-a-ling.
He has just killed Dean Stockwell. He has just denied a little girl an ice cream cone, which turns into a plot. Yeah,
I want some ice cream. Stop,
turns into a plot point, which is good.
It's great.
And then he has to get back to the stadium to get his alibi right. Racing
in the ding-a-ling truck.
But it's Robert Culp. So he's sitting in the seat, ramrod straight as always, eating an ice cream cone in victory.
It's like a pop. It's a popsicle. It's like a bar, ice cream bar on a stick.
Great.
He's enjoying.
Yeah. He's reveling in this moment of like, I pulled this shit off.
I deserve a treat.
It is this moment of victory that you just never get to see that. And the fact that they knew well enough that like, we need to have this moment of him like, I did it.
Victory.
I did it.
Victory ice cream.
I'm going to get away with it and everything.
How cold to enjoy your ice cream after killing this kid whom you've known, like you're basically the surrogate father at this point. You've known him since he was a boy. You were great pals with his dad and you just killed him and you're eating ice cream, like you do. There's nothing wrong here. Nothing to say.
Yeah.
I also love my favorite moment of the episode, I think, right in line with this one, is when he dons the ding-a-ling outfit and he looks in the mirror, he practices a smile and then his face goes back to Robert Culp, cold face, and he puts on the sunglasses. Mr. Cool Guy. And then when he gets the peanut tray and he goes out into the hallway, real cool. And he's just walking down that hallway from that low angle camera and he looks so tall. Woo, he's a tall glass of water. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's something about
strange feelings happening with Jade. when Robert Culp is on screen. That ding-a-ling outfit.
Robert Culp is somewhere in the ether going, I still got it.
Yeah, I still got it. Oh yeah.
But a big thing between Robert Culp and Jack Cassidy is Robert Culp his characters have a very tough time masking that anger. So his smiles always seem very forced. Whereas Jack Cassidy sometimes looks like he's actually enjoying himself. He looks like, when he feels like he's gotten away with something, one of the episodes that's coming up that we'll be talking about with him, he's in a movie theater and he's killed.
Oh my God.
He's killed people and he's just like watching some movie and he's just giggling like Robert De Niro in Cape Fear, just like laughing his ass off.
Good. Yes. Yeah. Perfect. Yep. We know who Robert De Niro was studying. We know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he was too. I'm sure. Because there's actually, now that you mention it, Cassidy and De Niro, they got a lot of similarities. And no wonder I love them both. Yes. Man. Yeah. Love it.
But back to the ending of this one.
Did you say your second favorite moment? There were two moments.
I'm about to.
Okay.
I'm about to. It's the ending.
What are you doing now? Playing
Maybe there was a sound that should be
I got
there.
the radio on here in the box. I guess it's a little loud. Yeah. So how are my gladiators?
Like what?
Getting murdered.
Something right in front.
Listen, is your head clear yet?
What kind of sound?
Oh, shh.
I'm out by the pool now. But are you in it yet? Will 20 more laps satisfy you? I told you I'd be ready, didn't I? Now get off my back, Hamlin. Pick me up.
And then it goes back to Colombo, back to Robert Culp, who does this great the eye starting to water.
Yeah.
And then he takes one drink and then it pans down to the little tape, reel-to-reel tape thing, and the tapes go blah 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 blah. Done. No codas, no epilogues, no frog march out of the building. It's just what I've always loved about Columbo is that when the murder is solved, the show ends. It's over.
Yeah.
We don't need it. This is where their relationship ends.
Yeah.
There's no arc. There's no nothing. This is like we've gotten it from beginning to end, and it is just clean. And when they hit those endings, like
That is
again,
true.
that episode is so convoluted, but that ending is so clean. I
will give you that. Yeah. I hadn't really considered that ending, but you're absolutely right. And no one really does an ending like Robert Culp. He's very good, very, very good with those endings. Okay. My favorite moment of this episode is when Robert Culp says, hold on a minute. I think I got it. It took me a minute to connect with the word chick. But I think I got it. I put him on to the best cleaning service. So if he found a lady through that, hey, it's out of my hands. And she just goes, of course. I'm like, are you fucking this mad? I'm thinking yes. What is the deal?
I think so. I think there is definitely like he wants to get with Mrs. Wagner, like,
or they're fucking already. I mean, I'm getting a lot of getting some vibes.
Yeah.
Watching her fake cry on his shoulder is pretty great at the airport. Is pretty great. She's like, I've just been holding it in.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about Now You See Him? What do you think of Now You See Him? Would this be your favorite Cassidy?
This is my favorite Cassidy.
It's a damn close second. It's damn close. It's got a lot of good stuff in here.
Again, like Most Crucial Game, it's very enjoyable. And before we go any further, I have to do this. Let me get this up here because this is important. I told you I was going to
edge of my seat.
Show my one impression. Let me see if I can do this.
Oh yes. The powder blue tuxedo with the ruffles. Yes.
See if we can hear this.
Oh, we get a performance.
When we played our charade, we were like children posing, playing at games, acting out names, guessing the parts we played. There you go.
Oh,
that's all I wanted to show.
Brava. Oh, that made my life. That was so good.
Everything. Only thing I wasn't doing was holding my microphone like this. Like he's like in the episode, he's supposedly going off to Vegas for a job. It's like, who's hired you in Vegas to stand in front of a curtain and go, when we were all charade?
Okay. Yeah. The only travesty of this episode is that he did not die because we were all hoping for it. He needed to die. Let it die. I mean, missed opportunities. Truly.
So just as a synopsis for this episode, for those of you who haven't seen it, he plays the great Santini. He is a famous magician, but he's stuck at the Cabaret of Magic. He's there because the owner knows that he used to be a Nazi. So during his famous water trick, where he gets into the box of water and then the tank and then they cover it, he goes underneath and he dresses up like one of the waiters. Again, another costume.
Got another costume.
He fakes out this one waiter who brings him a brandy, plays this little game with them to make him seem like he's there, but he's not in the dressing room. He's actually going upstairs. And then he goes upstairs and kills the guy and takes the paper out of the typewriter where he was typing a letter to immigration saying, hey, guess what? This guy's a Nazi. And then goes back downstairs and appears back on stage as his alibi. So that's what you're getting there.
Jack Cassidy as a fucking magician. Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew I needed this in my life? I did. It's amazing. Keep in mind too, like Jack Cassidy had like a week to learn this shit. This is not a movie. This is not a film. He got a call about a week ago and said, hey, you want to learn some magic and do really hard things and right now? And he went, fuck yeah. Put me in, coach, because he's amazing. Sure. You know the episode, and then I think it's a 90s episode where the woman is she's wearing that earpiece and it's her own voice saying, you have 35 seconds.
Oh yeah,
You
that's
have
one of the
15
that's one of the
seconds.
very that's one of the final episodes of the 70s, but it's great.
Okay, that's right.
That's a sneaky good one.
A
That
sneaky
that
good one.
one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I want to, I'm like, we'll talk about it eventually. And I'm
Sure.
like, will we though? Hopefully someday.
Oh, we will.
But there was that episode popped into my mind as I was like, I wish that the suspense of watching Santini in that waiter's outfit,
Mhm.
second only to Ding-a-ling outfit.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I wish that there was more suspense like there was in that episode where that woman had the earpiece in as she was walking, and she only had a certain amount of time but to be back in another place before she would be missed.
Right.
So that was a little bit of a miss for me. And also the motive feels cold between this random what's his name, Jerome,
Right.
and Santini. I never get invested in that relationship. Something about it doesn't feel real or believable enough. I don't know. The lame victim really bums me out in this one. Although I gotta say, meeting Mr. Jerome, he has one great moment where he goes, "Have a shrimp. Magnificent. From a special bed off the Yucatan coast. I have them flown in," with this hand gesture he does. Flown in, you know?
Yeah. And one of the things that's so great about Columbo episodes is how Columbo not only cozies up to the murderers, but gets them to implicate themselves.
Oh, yeah.
That handcuff scene,
yeah.
it's like he knows, Jack Cassidy knows that this is going to implicate him in some way because he picked that impossible lock to get into Jerome's office.
But he
And yet
can't
he
not
has
do it.
to do it. He's in front of everybody.
His ego will not let him fail in front of a crowd. And
Exactly. He could go, you're right. You win this one. You win this time.
Can't do
Mr.
it.
Policeman.
Can't do it. Yep.
Nope.
And just that look in Columbo's eye when he winks his fake eye at him. And
I knew you could do it.
I knew you could do it. Oh, so caught. Nailed.
Yeah.
It just, Jack Cassidy is killing it.
You couldn't have cast that part any better.
No.
No way. For that time, no way.
Columbo knows that Santini's going to get cocky. He knows he's such a narcissist. He can't help himself to give away. And he kind of does when he does like examples of the accents. You know, he's like, how about that? Maybe it was this one. That's a bit of all right. Like when Jack Cassidy's accents are just great. And he's like looking at him like, "You're a remarkable man. My God. Wow. You done it again. You devil, you." You know, it's just, so good watching Columbo like lull the murderer into this false sense of security that he can't be touched. He's so great. And he's got one up on this stupid cop and like, oh yeah, it's great.
And yet, as we segue here, you liked Publisher Perish more.
Shockingly, I did.
So let's get into that. Let's get into that one.
Okay.
What was it about that one on a rewatch that you were like, I think this is vaulted over the other one?
So we got two victims here.
True.
We see the opening, we get to meet Eddie, played by John Davis Chandler, and he's just hurling these bombs. It's just a casual Tuesday afternoon for Eddie. Yeah. Okay, you got Jack Cassidy though, aka Champagne Killer,
with the not made up name Riley Greenleaf.
Right.
Yeah, that's just normal.
This is not
Ken Franklin.
This is not Ken Franklin
Riley
after
Greenleaf.
jail in disguise. Yeah.
No, Riley Greenleaf sounds like a hobbit.
Yes.
He's in the Shire.
He's in the Shire.
But yeah, he's the publisher who's losing Mickey Spillane, and he's mad.
And he can't have that. That's the motive. And it works for me. I mean, the way it's one of the great Columbo villains. It truly is. This character that Jack Cassidy has here, this is 5-star Cassidy we're talking here. This convoluted scheme, so reminiscent of what we've just covered, Dial M for Murder, Ray Milland, again, Rube Goldbergian, key switches and all.
I was just gonna say,
right?
I was
like,
that
oh, there's key switches happening. You know, shit's going down. This is okay. So the brilliant plan, Riley Greenleaf, right? He hires Eddie Kane to kill Alan Mallory, the writer, who's working for him. Alan Mallory is under contract with Greenleaf, right? And then he kills Eddie with poison champagne, making it look like Eddie accidentally killed himself with his homemade bombs. Then he makes it look like Eddie sent the story idea, 60 Miles to Saigon, to Greenleaf, which he claims to have given to Mallory to turn into a book. Therefore, at the end of the day, making this book his own property, right? Just finagling that shit, just sliding it right. No one will be any of the wiser. He thinks he's nailed it. And then, pinning it on Eddie. Well, he must have killed Mallory for stealing his idea. Brilliance. Oh, the brilliance. But one thing he did not factor. Columbo on the case. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Jack Cassidy, got the accent going. His accent is just being Jack Cassidy in this episode. But it's so on point. The way that he says certain lines, like, at the end when that doesn't mean that I murdered the man. Iconic, it's so good. The key scenes when Falk and Cassidy are talking about, the locks were changed. Shocking. I mean, and Colombo's insisting, right? You were framed, sir. You were 100%. Oh, I know it. 100% framed.
Right.
If I could find someone with that right key, woo, would I have the murderer on my hands? And it's like, bring the key to Papa. Bring the key to Papa, you dumbass. And he just does. He does it like a fucking dog with a bone. It's so good.
One more thing I have to bring up before I segue into the next thing. The gloves. So, of course, it's Jack Cassidy. He's got leather gloves on. So he's knocked out the bombing guy, Eddie. And he takes off the leather gloves, and he's got other gloves underneath his leather gloves. He's got plastic gloves. He's a double glove killer, guys.
I didn't even catch that. You're so right. Oh my God, that's great.
I saw that today, and I started laughing so hard. I was like, oh, of course he's got leather gloves on. Oh, he's taking them off. He has other gloves on. Good for you. Suspenders and a belt,
mean business.
Guys.
Yeah, you don't mess.
So now let's talk about Double Exposure, which you have now said might be your favorite episode ever.
Before we started to rewatch for the podcast, I have said this is my favorite Colombo episode for sure. The duo of Falk and Culp. So fucking good. I think that if you're just taking acting with Colombo as that's the only category to judge here, I think I have to go with Robert Culp. Because there's just magic happens between these two. You can't look away from any scene that they are in together.
The connection between Falk and Culp, because they're so different, and they're so Mutt and Jeff, but they play off each other so well, and you really feel like I always feel like Cassidy's kind of performing in front of Colombo.
Yeah.
Where Robert Culp is
really
with him and trying to steer him around, and sometimes just trying to get rid of him. Just there is no murderer in this series more annoyed by Colombo than Robert Culp's characters. And Double Exposure is maybe the top of that heap.
Yeah. And the progression of going from start to finish, there's a very clear 3-act structure of what's happening with Robert Culp's character here. You can just see every time Colombo comes back to him, he's a little more unhinged, a little more off his game. See, this is the Robert Culp that I love, not angry Robert Culp. I'm not a fan of too hot-headed. I mean, okay, let's shut up, Jade. Of course I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. Ding-a-ling, baby.
Yeah, kick that door.
Kick it. Yeah, get angry. But I love Culp, super calculated and super this is Mr. Unflappable here,
Yeah.
What's his name? Bart. Oh, okay. Yes, Bart Keppel. Yes, aka Dr. Unflappable, aka Bad Bart.
By the way, Colombo gets under his skin right away by calling him Mr. Keppel.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, Dr. Keppel. It's like, okay, I see where this is going.
There's one point where he goes, why can't I remember to call you that? And he goes, I haven't the faintest notion. Vic Norris, asshole guy, wants to terminate his contract with Keppel Co. And which means, you must die. And so, brilliant plan. Keppel has these incriminating photographs of Norris cheating with sexy Tanya Baker.
Oh, Tanya.
Oh, Tanya. And Norris he says, you try to do this to me, you try to blackmail me, I'll fucking report you to the district attorney, sir. And so, because, of course, there's two things that Vic Norris cannot resist, caviar and Tanya Baker. Neither can I. No shame in the game. So, okay. So the plan is, first he has this iconic moment. He starts the plan. Vocal disguise. Better than ding-a-ling? I don't know. It's pretty good. Where he calls Mrs. Norris to tell her about the affair with Tanya. And he said, hello, Mrs. Norris. Your husband's having an affair with Tanya Baker. She's my girlfriend. And there's no nice way to put it. They're having an affair. That's all there is to it. Okay, that's all I'm saying. It's so good. This thing that Robert Culp is doing, because you never see Robert Culp do bits like this.
No,
and
that's a Jack Cassidy thing for sure.
Jack Cassidy can, and I'm not saying he hides behind his bits, but like you're saying, it's like Jack Cassidy is almost distracted with his own self, like he's acting with his self,
right?
With his person, he's acting with his own personality. With Robert Culp, he is just communicating to the other person, trying to shift something in your mind, trying to manipulate you and figuring out the best way to do that. So he's calculating, as an actor, I really admire what Robert Culp does. So, the plan is to get him good and thirsty with the caviar, then raise the room temperature in the screening room while they're watching this terrible film that he's made. And he's going to narrate the film. No. He's like, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be narrating this, standing here, doing it live. Said no one ever in the history of making these kind of films. Things that don't ever happen, but okay. Yeah. So he's got this airtight alibi, right? He's on stage narrating. Of course, thanks to high-tech devices in the 70s, he has a tape recorder. And that's what he starts to play, and he sneaks off. And knowing with the ingenious splicing of an ice-cold, delicious glass of iced tea, he knows exactly to the minute when this guy is going to be at that water fountain. Oh, yes, he does. And he's there with his gun and converter.
Right.
So sneak. Fucking kills the guy, races back, gets in his spot. Lights come on. Oh no, where'd he go? Oh, he's dead in the hallway. Enter Colombo. It's good. It's a pretty fucking good plan. I'm here for this plan. It's even better when it's an overly confident guy like Culp, though, because the episode has set it up so well that this guy does not panic under pressure. This guy doesn't sweat it. He's always got a way out. He's super smooth. Look at him. Look how successful he is. And he's written all these books, The Mind String and How to Pull It. That's so good. That's probably the funniest thing about this episode.
The mind string. I love that scene. And again, lawyers out there, let us know. Columbo and the crime photographer go into Keppel's office, and the crime photographer is like saying, we can't do this. We're not supposed to be here. And he's like, I'm not searching. I'm just looking at things. Just take a picture of me looking at things. I'm just looking at things. I'm not opening drawers. I'm not opening doors. I'm just looking. Yep. And then, of course, cut that into the little subliminal cut.
Slicey dicey.
The film. And then he comes in and finds his converter, and lights come on, and we've got you. And that ending with Culp smiling and saying, like, you never would have caught me if it wasn't for my technique.
My technique, yeah.
And Columbo says yes, and if there was reward, I would support your claim to it.
Yep.
And it's like, and then we get that zoom in on the slide that did him in. For everybody out there, we decided to pit Cassidy and Culp against each other, and to see who our favorite overall Columbo villain between the two of them is.
And I didn't plan any of my answers because I knew that they would probably change after podcasting. So
me too.
We're going with our answer with your heart.
So, best chemistry with Columbo, Cassidy, or Culp? Who do you say?
It's got to be Culp for me.
I'm Culp as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For everything we've said about that, it's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
For best Columbo detective work, you want to give me a specific episode of these 6 that you think he's the best detective in?
I actually think it's probably no, it's got to be Double Exposure. No, it's got to be.
I'm going to go with the football one, The Most Crucial Game, because there's so much for him to wade through. And he gets there from a cuckoo clock. I love that. How about creepy villain behavior? Looks, voices, disguises, costumes.
I think that the creepy villain behavior award has to go to Jack Cassidy.
Oh, of course it does. And then your best gotcha moment. Your best, the best catch at the very end, the very best, the nail in the coffin moment. I'll go with mine. I still think the best gotcha of all of those is The Most Crucial Game. I love the cuckoo clock thing. I love the
really
clock.
Loved it.
I just love the way that ends. It just it's so, I mean, Double Exposure is very close. With that the freeze frame on that maniacal smiling face, knowing that he's off to jail. And then of course the Now You See Me with the illusions and the producing things. But that Most Crucial Game and that him wiping off his eye and the tape reel spinning and there's just no dialogue at all. That's what I'm here for Columbo. It's that sort of touch that makes Columbo a step above a lot of other shows.
Agreed. Yeah. I think that my favorite gotcha has to be, I think it's got to be Publisher Parish, because bring the key to Papa, and he does. It's just so good. It's such a good gotcha. And watching Jack Cassidy, the door was open.
Yeah.
Well, there was the key. The key? He's so good, It's like, it's squirming just with delight watching him get nailed. Oh, yeah, it's really good. Okay, what are you going to say?
In the battle of Cassidy v. Culp, what do you say? We've analyzed all 6. We've loved all 6. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Culp is the guy that I love watching. The chemistry between the two, the way that the dichotomy between those 2 actors and those 2 characters, whatever character he's playing, is so great. Jack Cassidy is great too, but if you're asking me to watch one episode, I'm watching a Culp.
If you're asking me to watch one episode,
I'm asking you to watch one episode.
I think I've got to go with Publisher Parish. I think it's Cassidy for me. I do.
Cassidy.
Yeah. I'm shocked to say it, because I totally agree with you. And I see what you mean. And when it comes to the acting, like I'm saying, the acting, it really is so captivating and so moving with Culp. And it just really it's serious. But for my money, if you just given me one episode of Colombo for all time, I think Publisher Parish has everything in it.
Yeah.
Solidly straddles the line of drama and comedy.
Yeah.
And I think that because Jack Cassidy is giving me such a range of emotion, I'm satisfied on all levels. You're giving me camp, you're giving me sincerity, you're giving me unhinged craziness, and then you're giving me scared little boy Jack Cassidy. I mean, it's really good. It's got it all.
Yeah.
Just so you know, there's a shorter version of this podcast. If you're just listening to the podcast, go to that YouTube channel and please subscribe when you're there. We've gotten so many more new subscribers and it makes me so fucking happy. So if you're enjoying this,
thank you.
If you laughed at all, if you uttered just a titter of laughter, just subscribe, please. It would be awesome. Yeah. And if you want to see the full video of this episode and all of the bonus things you can see, so many good bonus episodes Paul and I have done, and we're just going to keep on cranking them out. Go to patreon.com/perfectlymarvelouspodcast and check everything out there. And if you're watching on YouTube, hello, thank you for watching. Please like the video and leave a comment. Tell us what you think of Columbo, favorite episodes. Who do you think is the best out of Culp or Cassidy, and why? Do you agree with us? What did we forget to mention? All of the things. Tell us why we're right or wrong, and what you would add if you were on the podcast. I would love to know. To follow us. Also, remember, follow us on Instagram at Shall We Compare Thee. Leave us feedback there. You can also email us, shallwecompare@gmail.com, and leave us a voice message. You know how I love it. Feed
Yep.
crack me out. And also my Instagram, Jade the Naked Lady, all one word, and Jade8Green on TikTok. All the links for all the things are in the description.
I'm Paul.
And I am Jade. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.